Hi, I'm Izzy, a third year law student at the University of Cambridge, and today I'm going to have a little talk with you through what a reading list actually looks like and how we prepare for supervisions here. But when I start preparing for a supervision for a particular paper, the first thing I now do is actually start with my lecture notes. I'll kind of copy whatever notes I took on the handout onto a separate Google document, and this is a really good way to kind of tell what's actually important for the course, which bits maybe when you're comparing to a textbook are a little less important, and it's also really good to figure out kind of what bits didn't you understand that you might need to look into a little bit more. Once I've gone through my lecture notes, that's when I'll actually take a real look at what the reading list says. From this, I'll usually start with the textbook that they recommend, and I'll just skim through it to see kind of what headings and subheadings there are, so I can see what do I think I already have enough of from my lecture notes, or which areas are missing, or any which I didn't really understand, so I want explained a little bit better. For law specifically as well, we have a list of cases, so I just make sure I have a summary of each of those somewhere in my notes, so if it comes up in the supervision, I know kind of where it fits into. If I've got a little bit more time, which usually I don't, I'll look at the articles, especially if I know they'll be relevant in the supervision, but most of us usually leave these for exam term. Reading lists also at the end have a list of supervision questions, which some supervisors go through religiously, whereas others don't really look at them at all. But they're a really good way to test your own knowledge, so I'll just have a read through them and think, do I have my answer somewhere in my notes, or I'll jot down a few ideas. However, what I think the most important thing is when reading either lecture notes or textbook is writing down the things you don't understand and questions that come into your head. Preparing for a supervision is less about having all the answers, but figuring out the main principles and working through it together with your supervisor. So that's kind of how I prepare for a supervision. It's a mixture of lecture notes, textbook reading, article reading. You just need to feel confident enough to join in a few of the discussions, even if you don't understand everything perfectly yet.